Now, at this point, a lot of people ask, how is this pricing even possible? Well, let's pretend that this is one of the Wyndhams, like the Wyndham Cypress Palm that we looked at, and this is a very poor drawing of it, but they have to bring people into the condo, and they have pretty much three ways that they do it. Number one is through timeshare purchase, and timeshare purchases for a single week of ownership at the Wyndham is about $18,000, plus you're going to have maintenance fees that hover around $700. So that's one way they do it, and that's expensive because it's a deed for ownership, and there's legalities, and there's a lot of work that goes into. There's a lot of people that have to get paid, vendors that bring couples in there, enticements that they have to pay for. It's a very expensive thing, which is why ownership at that resort costs as much as it does. But then when we talk about Expedia and Travelocity, pay super close attention. Here's how we beat Expedia and Travelocity by up to 90%. Because when the resort gets exposure on Expedia and Travelocity or Hotels.com or Bookit.com, a lot of times we think that Expedia or Travelocity is like Google, where if you search for condos near Disney in Expedia, just like Google, Expedia pulls down and searches the web, and then out of the goodness of their heart, they pull up the very best deal. Well, that's what we think, and that's what I used to think, but as I got into the industry a little bit deeper, I realized that Expedia and Travelocity are pretty much a sophisticated classified ad platform. So what happens is when someone searches condos near Disney, Expedia goes down and pulls up the advertiser who paid the very most amount of money for exposure, and whoever paid the most amount of money gets the top spot. So what happens is this resort has to put in a six-figure plus contract to get exposure for all their resorts on Expedia, and what happens is the price has to increase to compensate for the advertising cost, which has to compensate for when you see the traveling gnome commercials during Super Bowls and during things. Those are millions of dollars that Travelocity and Expedia are spending for exposure, and the price just keeps escalating and escalating and escalating, so it's $5,000 by the time a consumer gets to go on that condo. But our travel club acts as like a super client, and what we have is we have thousands upon thousands of hungry, avid, eager travelers. But here's the thing. Inside our club, we pay $398 for the week up to $799 per week. But the cool thing is, with our initiation fee, it funds an admin that goes to these resorts and negotiates the lowest possible deal. So what we're able to do is tell this resort, listen, you can get exposure, and I know this is getting a little messy now, but we say you can get risk-free, meaning it doesn't cost any advertising, and we'll give your resort exposure to our club, but we're only going to send you $500 per unit, but we can fill up 10 units per week, all week, every year, all year, and we negotiate with these things. So what happens is our club becomes a super entity, and we create more volume for the resort in a risk-free fashion. This is how we're able to get prices at $398 versus $4,000. But let's